when I won a place and pitched at the Funded.com showcase in January, my PowerPoint went out of control and I bit the bullet and continued the pitch anyway. I had just flown in from London and I had 5 years of hard work and sacrifice behind me, so why not? Adeo Resi said afterwards that I was a woman with balls. How much do you think our biology as women and the hormonal context goes against us when we're sourcing venture?
Well, it doesn't go against us at all in reality. Perceptually, there absolutely are issues with what men presume. Amongst them, by the way, the completely misguided perception that women don't have what it takes to get down in the trenches and slog their guts out to make a business successful, which is utterly ridiculous.
Yes.
Actually, what I think is enormously entertaining is, when we talked about this earlier, you said that, one guy observing said that, you had balls of steel. Mm. That in itself actually reflects the male-centric view of the world. Actually, women and men alike, some people don't, but many people do, of both genders, absolutely have the guts to do everything necessary to succeed in business and succeed in tech ventures. And we'll know that we've reached gender parity when something happens to screw up a presentation for a guy, and the word after that is, my God, he had a pussy of steel to get through that.
I love that. Thank you. I knew you'd have a great response to that question. Tabby Biddle wrote a post in the Huffington Post last year, Women and Venture Capital, is it a rite of passage into our power? I was really interested in the title of the article, although there was not really any further elaboration of the title. Do you have any thoughts about this idea that breaking through into the venture community is another glass ceiling that women need to change to attain some equality within the entrepreneurial community?
As I said earlier, I think it is critically important that women do that in order to be able to get access to the funding and the financing that will enable significant business and financial success, which will enable a sea change in attitude towards women entrepreneurs and women startup founders. So yes, I think it is critically important. What I think is interesting, though, is that within that, I believe that women will respond better to those areas of the venture community that are open to more creative ways of approaching the whole financing scenario. And what I mean by that is, in a way, I would love to see the entire framework of everything we're talking about undergo the same sea change. I found it interesting that, a young female entrepreneur came to see me a few months back, and she had a startup which was orientated around a proposition in the financial services sector. And she was finding it very difficult to get this operational because she was dealing with, in a financial context, a lot of regulatory issues and obstacles. And she was very frustrated by this. And so when I was talking to her, I said to her, what do you think our financial system would look like if it had been designed by women? Because we operate within a, fundamentally, as many things in business are, male-created financial system. And by the way, I'm not suggesting that a female designed and created financial system would be better, but it would certainly be different, and it would operate in different ways. And so, my suggestion to her was just envisage a financial system as it would be designed by women, and envisage how you would make your startup fly within that. And that will drive a different way of thinking, and a more lateral way of thinking about how you circumvent the regulatory barriers that are getting in the way of your making this startup take off in the way that you'd like to. So in the same context, I would love to see, apart from what we're talking about in terms of breakthroughs for female entrepreneurs, I'd love to see breakthroughs for female VCs. Female VCs currently represent something like 5 to 7% of the entire VC landscape. And they are very subject, when they recommend female startups, female-led businesses for funding, to a reaction that goes, bloody favoritism because it's women. Whereas, as somebody pointed out in a blog post, nobody goes, what? We're funding another young white male dropout from Stanford, Harvard again? So actually, I believe that the entire sort of VC context and framework could actually do with many more women within it, bringing many more different perspectives to exactly how you go about funding and building very productive business relationships with very interesting startups to create the best possible financial returns for everybody.
Well, I love the way you've readdressed the concept and the thinking. That's so creative, and I think we could all actually take a lesson from that as far as reimagining the world. She also quoted in that article another author, Lotta Alson, creator of The Heroine's Journey, a course designed exclusively for women entrepreneurs. And points out in the article on the Huffington Post, women don't start companies for the same reason that men do. Women start businesses as an expression of themselves, as a way to balance family and work, and to be able to be their own bosses. Men start businesses to make money or because they have an idea that they believe they can make money on. Do you agree with that? I know it's really a generalization, but do you agree with that idea, Cindy? And what reasons do you think women have for starting businesses?
I completely, totally, and fundamentally disagree with that idea.
Yeah.
Sorry, never met you, but I'm going to take massive issue with the generalization you've made there.
Yeah.
Because actually, I believe both men and women start businesses for all of those reasons. So, just as I believe there are absolutely men who are moving away from corporate wage slave scenarios to starting their own businesses because they want to spend more time with their families. They have exactly those reasons for doing what they're doing. In the same way that there are women like me who have ideas they want to make happen, and where those ideas, in the case of me and IFRA around the world, are actually fundamentally rooted in a belief that the future of business is about doing good and making money. So I am totally out to prove my own business model. I want to prove it is entirely possible to not make money and do good by writing checks to causes to clear your conscience, but to make money because you do good. So no, I think you absolutely can't generalize like that. There is no gender difference between the fact that some of us, male or female, have particular quality of life reasons to start our own businesses, and others simply want to make money, and there's nothing wrong with that. As long as people are bringing to the world really innovative, really valuable business ventures that, create jobs, inspire other people, create role models, it doesn't matter what their motivations are, and men and women share absolutely the same motivations, and there's no issue with anybody starting a business for any reason whatsoever.
Yes, I actually agree with you. I think it was a real blanket generalization that almost doesn't even fit. You have covered this a bit, but GigOM recently posted an article, Is There a Female Funding Model, by Stacey Higginbotham, who quoted, wondering if there's a better model for funding female companies or if women tend to form companies that are better suited for raising debt as opposed to venture capital, or is the trend simply a result of venture investors being blind to female entrepreneurs and then those spurned entrepreneurs doing what they do best, finding an alternative when a roadblock pops up? How do you feel about this question? Do you think we need a different funding model? And I guess you have already said that. Do you think that it's a possible solution to the current challenge for women startups to pursue different funding models than male entrepreneurs?
No. I think it is critically important that does not happen, and I can't overstate the importance of that. And by the way, I absolutely applaud those enormously supportive, very few organisations and funds that have been deliberately set up to fund women entrepreneurs. But the exact reason it is so critically important that this does not happen is because those places have far fewer resources than the main players in the sector. Sad fact of life, and I see this myself as the alumni of one of the colleges at Oxford University that was specifically set up for women only. I went to Somerville College at Oxford, and Somerville was one of 5 colleges started, back at the end of the 19th century because women had no place in higher education at Oxford. And because they were started so relatively recently versus the men's colleges that have been around for centuries before them, because women have far less economic and business power, those colleges were so dramatically underfunded versus their male counterparts, they've all had to go co-ed. And, but nevertheless, they still remain dramatically underfunded. Women do not have access to the kinds of funding and the kind of resources that men do. And so it is critically important, for all the reasons I've outlined in this interview, that women are not pushed out into a different kind of funding model, but that the funding model that is working so well for so many men, and I hasten to add it's not working well for all men, because all entrepreneurs study with the same obstacles, but it's working well for far more men than women. It's critically important that that is opened up to women, and that both women and men have an equal crack at the same levels of funding and the same resources. To ghettoize women, to marginalize women, to say that female entrepreneurs need a different kind of funding model is doing the biggest disservice to women and the future female entrepreneurs could possibly do.
So I gather from that statement that really
no.
and I gather also that what you're saying too is that probably why women have gone other paths is because of the obstacle being too great, and they've just become resourceful and worked out other methods. And that was a question she raised in that interview, in that article.
Yeah, and it's not because they've wanted to, it's because they've had to.
Yep, I gather that too. Yep, great. Look, Cindy, thank you so much. I've been totally enlightened. It's been a total delight speaking with you. I hope that I get to meet you live sometime. And I'll let you know once I post the article.
Fantastic. It's been a complete pleasure, Pima. And, I'm thrilled also that you are giving us a showcase and opportunity to get these opinions out into the world, because we all need to be talking about this. We all need to be raising the debate. The recent storm that blew up in the blogosphere around Michael Arrington's TechCrunch post about women in tech has been terrific, because it's gotten everybody talking and discussing and hopefully doing something about these very, very fundamental and very serious issues to the benefit of all of us. So I'm thrilled to have the opportunity. Thank you very much. I could not more heartily endorse Madeleine Albright's wonderful quote: "There is a special place reserved in hell for women who do not help other women."